roadside attractions and theme parks were very popular in the 50s and 60s. It gave families that were traveling long distances in the car a chance to stop and take a break and maybe use the restroom and get a snack. So there were places to stop, whether they were theme parks or restaurants or snack bars, throughout the Adirondacks.
One fascinating thing that's happened this year with Storytown is the return of the whale. For many years there was a whale that you could walk into, and it was on a pond, and it had been there since the beginning of the amusement park. And recently this year Six Flags decided they no longer wanted it because it just didn't go with the theme, or they were just going in a different way. And there was a campaign to bring the whale back because people really liked the whale. It was one of the iconic things you went to when you went to Storytown or Great Escape, and they actually succeeded, and they have brought the whale back, which is really great that they were able to do that. This is one of the stars you would get if you went to Storytown and you went to the western town and you showed up. They had gunfights and a haunted house and all sorts of things you could do, but this was one of the things they would give children. I remember having many of these. And this is just a placard, I guess, of Storytown that you could buy in the store. And then we also have these tickets, these ride tickets from the 60s that you could pay for individual tickets to go on the different rides. And the 4 different rides it says they have were Tanks, Skyfighter, the boat ride, and the merry-go-round that you could use at Storytown.
So we have a number of different things that you could have purchased at Frontiertown. Glasses. They also had a badge system like Storytown did. And this one says Deputy Frontiertown, New York Sheriff. And we even have 2 unused concert tickets for a Johnny Cash concert that was to be held at Frontiertown in 1983. So in its day, Frontiertown was a pretty popular place. Arto Monaco was an artist who was born in Sable Forks, that area, and he settled in Upper J, New York, and he was the creator of the Land of Make-Believe, which was a theme park for children and families built right on the Sable River. And unfortunately, over the years, they suffered greatly because of flooding waters, and ultimately, around 2010, what was left of the large castle and some of the other small buildings that had been abandoned were all but washed away. So we, through the help of the Arto Monaco Historic Society, acquired many things from Arto Monaco's property. Some of his art supplies, some of his prototypes. He was a toy maker, and through his development of theme parks, because he was involved in Santa's Workshop in Wilmington, Land of Make-Believe in Upper J, Storytown and Gaslight Village in Lake George. He did a lot with designing, and he built models and prototypes and did drawings of so many buildings and games and rides, and that's a lot of what we were able to acquire. This particular model was built as a mock-up for Santa's house at Santa's Workshop in Wilmington. So he built fairly intricate models of things, and we were really lucky to be able to have this one. There's a couple of others. This is a little church. This is actually fitted for a night light. There's a light inside, and he built night lights for sale. Actually, one of them's on the other side. He just loved children, and he loved to make people happy, and he did all these things by hand, and he painted them, and he designed them, and he constructed them, and he was a pretty amazing person. With the introduction of larger highways like the Northway, smaller highways like Route 9, where a lot of these places were located, were not as well traveled after the introduction of the Northway. So many of these places, unfortunately, were forced to shut down because of lack of money and lack of tourists. People just weren't making as many stops as they had been. Places like Santa's Workshop or Magic Forest, they're geared towards smaller people, small kids. The rides are for kids, the attractions are for kids, and that's fun. And there isn't the chaos that there are at larger places like Six Flags too, which is actually kind of appealing.
Well, Magic Forest is good for families because it's a smaller park, it's less expensive, and you don't have to pay for parking as opposed to Six Flags. But it really is catered towards children, and there are some adult rides, which is good because you can still go on and have fun. But a lot of it is good for a short attention span of a child. You don't feel like you have to spend the whole day there to get your money's worth. There are animals. There's a magic show, which is really fun, and the only horse diving show in America is still there, so go and check it out while you can.